Hold up, and here's a quick gut check. If I asked you right now, what's the return on investment of booking a call with you or working with you, could you answer that instantly? And more importantly, could you answer it in a way that's so visual that I wouldn't be able to stop thinking about it? Because here's the thing that most experts miss: ROI isn't just about the sale. It shows up at every single ask in your business. When you want someone to opt in to your webinar, when you're asking them to book a call, and even when they're about to click checkout. If your audience can't instantly connect the dots to see the ROI of saying yes at any of those touch points, they're going to hesitate. They're going to ghost you, and eventually they'll end up walking away. Don't believe me? Which of these makes you actually want to buy? Right now, you can buy the new iPhone and you'll get a faster phone. Or buy the new iPhone and capture crystal clear photos of your kid's first bike ride, instantly share them with friends, and feel that little spark of pride every time you scroll through your memories. You see the difference? That's exactly what happens when you make your ROI so damn visual that your prospects can literally picture themselves living it. You stop chasing, you stop convincing, and you start creating automatic paid in full yeses. Because if you can't clearly show the ROI of working with you, it's going to be damn near impossible to get people into your world. The real problem isn't your offer or your skill. It's that buyers can't visualize the ROI. Now that's what I'm going to share with you here today. The secret of what I call visual ROI that most marketers don't want you to know, and how you can use this to double your conversions without doing more marketing. Now, hey, and welcome back to the Business Real Talk. I'm Nas Echeverria, and if you're new here, this is the show where we cut the fluff so you know how to grow and scale a successful business in half the time. Now, last week, we dove into what I call the targeted distribution system. It's what allows you to bypass algorithms and get your content in front of the right people at the right time so you can stop wasting hours on social media that doesn't convert. Now, if you missed it, go back or queue it up next so you can check out and understand how distribution works. And what I'm about to share with you here today is what makes it work even better. So we're going to pivot from distribution to something that's just as crucial: converting the people who actually see your content. Now, specifically, how do we use Visual ROI, a framework that combines the logic of ROI with the emotion of seeing themselves in the result to double your conversions without doing more marketing? Now, I'm going to show you how my client Courtney went from struggling to sell a $27 offer to selling out her $1,500 offer before even launching it out there. And I'll show you how Barbara increased her conversions from a webinar at 3% to 42% in a teeny tiny audience. Now, these are crazy results. And I'll show you how my client took a 2-week long vacation with clients popping on her calendar ready to go once she started back without her even having to speak to them. Now, using the visual ROI statements that I'm going to share with you here today in this episode, I want you to understand that this is going to help your audience see, feel, and crave the results that only you can deliver. So let's get real. If you're running a successful business, I can take a guess that right now, these are the things you actually want. You want leads who are going to show up ready to invest at your premium rates without hesitation, without ghosting, without asking for discounts. You want the clients who are ready to pay in full and who do so quickly and confidently because your value is absolutely undeniable. And you want your marketing and sales that work predictably and efficiently so you can focus on things like scaling, serving, and actually innovating instead of constantly chasing new business. And you'd probably like a new system that takes a bulk of that effort on for you so that you can turn interest into commitment so your expertise is matched by the speed and quality of your conversions. And yet, for far too many high-performing business owners, the reality looks a little bit something more like this. You have prospects who seem intrigued, but they end up stalling. The calls end up with, "I'll think about it," or "let me talk to my spouse," or they end up disappearing altogether. And your expertise, your track record, and your results are obvious to you, your team, and your current clients, but your audience can't seem to fully grasp the transformation that you deliver, so they end up hesitating. And your content and marketing efforts feel like they're working harder than your business is, generating activity, but not actually producing the high intent premium clients you want. It's irritating, especially when you know that your expertise is unmatched and you just don't know what's the missing piece to help your prospects go from interested to buying. The good news is I'm going to show you exactly why this keeps happening and how you can actually solve it without building any new marketing. But it starts with understanding the typical way that you're being taught or what you're doing right now to try and solve this so you can understand why it doesn't work. So right now you're told to do one of 4 things, if not all of them. 1, add more features and benefits, right? You list every capability of of your product or service, you're thinking more details equals more conversions. But the reality is more features often equal more confusion. So instead of helping your audience see the transformation, you end up burying it under a mountain of information. So what happens next is you end up pushing harder on your messaging or content volume. You double down on posts, ads, webinars, calls, all the things, hoping that if you show up more, something will end up sticking. The activity goes up, but your conversions not so much because interest alone doesn't create commitment. So the next logical solution is to offer discounts, right? Or easy yes, low ticket deals. Lowering the price feels like that should make buying easier, but the gap is that price alone doesn't remove hesitation. And let's be honest, it only leaves you feeling more frustrated about devaluing your work. So you end up relying on logic alone. So if I just prove the ROI, they'll see it and they'll understand and it'll make sense to say yes. So you post case studies, testimonials, screenshots, the works, trying to give a rational proof that will get them to come running to you. And let's be real, all of this sounds great on paper, right? More features should mean more value. More content should mean more reach. Lower prices should mean more sales. More proof should mean more trust. Logically, it's all checking out. The truth is that buyers don't buy on logic alone. So these things end up failing because they're focused on logicking your way out of the things where you're focusing on what you're saying. So those more features, more posts, more proof, more lowering your prices, none of those things actually make your buyers feel the transformation in their own. And that's what actually gets people to buy, right? Where they can instantly connect the dots between your solution and the transformation that they want most, which means right now they're left struggling to rationalize that paying you will give them the transformation that they want most. And if they can't see it, they don't believe it. If they don't believe it, they don't buy. When the reward isn't crystal clear, the risk of investing always feels heavier. Just like anything, the risk and reward have to actually make sense together. That's why the missing piece isn't more logic. It's helping your buyers see themselves in the results. Well, the ROI is so clear, so visual, they'd feel stupid not to say yes. Because when the ROI is visual, the decision ends up flipping. You're not convincing them, they're convincing themselves. And it's the difference between you telling someone that you can help them lose weight and saying that you'll help them eat the foods they love while melting away the pounds so that they can sit on the beach confidently wearing the bikini that they've tucked away in their drawers for years. Because losing weight is nice, but overcoming the fear of wearing a bikini that you've desperately wanted to wear for years is visual and it sparks action. Your visual ROI frames the value. It gives context that makes your brain connect an outcome to the desire. So instead of just saying, here's the offer I have and listing those features and benefits, it creates the framing around those things. So it creates a visual value for them. I call these visual ROI statements, and it works because your brain doesn't actually separate imagination from reality. So I call it the scary movie effect, and think of it this way. If you've ever watched a scary movie and you know that the scene that you're about to watch is not real, but when the masked villain jumps out, it's not only scaring the character in the movie, but it scares you too. Even though you already know it's not real, your body reacts like it is. Your heart races, your palms sweat, your adrenaline kicks in, and you end up triple checking your locks at the end of the night, looking under your bed, and even leaving the lights on. The same thing happens in the buying experience. When you make ROI visual, your buyers aren't just hearing it, they're experiencing it. They can touch, they can feel, they can sense the success now before they've even invested. So just like a good movie, it's going to stay with them. They're going to think of it when they go to bed. They're going to think about it the next morning. They're going to carry your visual statement with them everywhere they go. So let's break down the formula behind how you actually create visual ROI statements that have your clients drooling over working with you and make saying yes so easy and natural. So visual ROI has two parts. The first one is multi-dimensional ROI. Now, most experts stop at what we call surface level results. They talk about things like losing 10 pounds, grow your following, improve your mindset, all the things that are fine, but they're very one-dimensional. The problem is that 100, if not 1,000 other people are saying the exact same thing out there. So your results end up sounding like everyone else, and the value ends up feeling flat. Versus multi-dimensional ROI takes that flat result and connects it to the bigger outcome that your clients actually crave and want. So losing 10 pounds becomes lose 10 pounds so you can finally chase your kids around the park without getting winded. Or making more sales becomes make more sales so you can finally take that 2-week vacation without worrying about your business stalling, right? The moment you can connect the dots between what they actually want right now and what it means, the ROI becomes multidimensional. So it's not just a number, it becomes a life shift. So think about it this way. A diamond right now by itself looks like a shiny rock. So something I could find in the dirt in the backyard. If I brought you a diamond right now surrounded by dirt in a plastic bag, you'd think nothing of it. But when a diamond is cut, set in a ring, placed on a velvet box under the perfect light, it becomes priceless. The reason why is the diamond didn't change, the framing did. That's what multidimensional ROI does. It takes the raw results and it frames it in a way that shows the true value. And the best part about it is that multidimensional ROI doesn't even have to be the same for everyone. So our brains are wired to take a visual example and instantly translate it into our own version of that success. That's why you can watch that movie about an underdog boxer and suddenly feel like that's your story of overcoming the odds, right? Even if you've never stepped foot in a boxing ring, your brain will create the own version of your underdog story and put you in that. So let's test it right now. Imagine that right now, I said, imagine stepping on stage in front of thousands of people, the spotlight hitting you, the audience erupting into applause, and you deliver a speech that changes lives. Some of you pictured a TEDx stage, and some of you imagined a massive stadium, and some of you simply saw posting something online or going to a local event where the room was filled with people that you respect. It's the same statement, but it created 3 different mental movies, and that is how your brain ends up working, which means you don't have to worry about what if this doesn't apply to everyone. Their brain will automatically customize the picture into something that does apply to them. And I've seen this happen firsthand. One of my clients, Courtney, that I mentioned at the beginning, she was a weight loss coach selling a $27 offer that just was not landing. We shifted her messaging using the exact principle of multidimensional ROI, making that multidimensional for her. And instead of just talking about pounds lost, she painted this vivid ROI picture, slipping back into jeans that hadn't fit in years, walking into a room with unshakable confidence, finally seeing and being at home in her body. The result is that she started selling a $1,500 group program straight from the DMs, no sales calls needed, nothing, because her audience wasn't just seeing weight loss, they were seeing their version of transformation and they couldn't unsee it. That's the power of multidimensional ROI. So now that you've made the ROI multidimensional, the second piece of the formula is to stop telling people what the result is and show them what it feels like. Because logic is what's going to get people to think, but feeling is what gets people to act. This is why one of the most powerful questions that I ask my clients is, what does this actually look like? Because here's the truth. Most experts stop at vague promises, things like get healthier, find balance, build confidence. And while those phrases sound nice, they do 2 dangerous things. Number 1, they attract the wrong people, those window shoppers, the people who aren't actually ready for change, the ones who are curious and not committed. And they end up leaving your best buyers, those high intent buyers, feeling really lukewarm about what you do because they can't actually see themselves inside that promise. And they're not going to move towards something that just sounds really like vague and big. So this happens in every single touch point that you create for your buyers. You create broad, really vague language. You end up bringing in people who are unready to buy. So I've seen this time and time again, especially when people are running live events or webinars or any type of ads to something and they have a really vague promise. It creates curiosity, and curiosity sparks attention, but specificity sparks commitment. So let me prove it to you. If I say you'll feel more confident in your business, that's nice, but it doesn't move you. If I say instead, picture yourself walking to a room of your dream clients, every head turns, they lean in as you speak, and you can see it in their eyes, you've already won them. That's not confidence explained. That's confidence experienced. When you give a visual, concrete example of the transformation, it moves from interesting idea to, oh my gosh, that's me and I need this right now. So a great example, instead of saying getting healthier, I would say wake up without hitting snooze 3 times with enough energy to crush your morning workout and still feel good at the office. Instead of build confidence, we say walk into the meeting room, pitch your idea without your voice shaking, and actually have people leaning in to hear more. These are 2 very different ways that we communicate the same value. So this is really about how do we frame the value in a way that not only is specific, but increases the actual perception of value because you're giving them something that is far beyond the surface level of results. Now, here's what happens when you do this. Your audience's brain doesn't just understand the ROI, it starts to simulate it. So they literally feel the transformation in their body before they've even worked with you. So it's like putting on a VR headset. At first, you're standing in your living room, you know it's just a game, but when the headset comes on, suddenly you're standing on the edge of a skyscraper and you're looking down. Your stomach ends up dropping, your palms are sweating, your brain knows it's not real, but your body doesn't care. It's already reacting. It's the same thing happens when you make your ROI so visceral. Before, your buyer is just hearing about the result. It's flat, it's distant, it's like watching a trailer but never stepping into the movie. But the moment you make it visual and specific, it's like strapping on a headset. Their brain can't help but want to simulate it. Their body starts reacting as if the transformation has already happened. And this is why this matters. Once they felt the ROI, they can't go back to just hearing about it. They crave it, they want it. So, one of my clients was a sleep consultant and she had something very similar happen. At first, her messaging was incredibly vague. Something like, help families get more rest. It was nice but flat, but parents don't feel that in their bones, right? That's not what people are actually sitting. They're not sitting at home saying, you know what I'd really like is just my family to get more rest. Instead, they want to be able to see and feel that result that they're actually desiring. So, we rebuilt that into a visceral ROI statement. So, instead of you'll get better sleep, we shifted to picture this: tuck your baby in at night, kiss their forehead, and for the first time in months, you close your eyes and actually sleep through the night. You wake up and the sun is already up and you realize you didn't hear a single cry. You step into the kitchen, coffee in hand, with energy you forgot you had, ready to actually enjoy the day with your family. That's not just a promise of sleep. That's the experience of peace, energy, and family connection. So instead of giving these very vague ideas of I'll help your family find peace, we create a visual that lets them see that. That's the VR headset effect in real life. Parents aren't just hearing about rest. They could feel the weight lifting off their shoulders. They could imagine themselves living it. And once they feel it, they cannot unfeel it. And here's the most important part. Once your buyers actually see themselves in the transformation, the sale shifts. You're no longer convincing, proving, or piling on more features. They're already living that experience in their mind. Their body feels the relief, the pride, the freedom. And at this point, saying yes isn't a leap of faith. It's the obvious next step. That's why visual ROI statements are so freaking powerful. They collapse hesitation and turn your offer from something that sounds good into, oh my gosh, this is it. So the question becomes, how do you build this into your business in a way that works every single time across every single piece of marketing without adding more complexity? That's where my method comes in. So visual ROI is the first piece of the puzzle, but how we actually build this out starts with the EasyS method, the system that takes your expertise, turns it into a business that sells itself. And there's three parts to the EasyS method. The first one being winning the market, because your best clients, the ones who are ready to buy right now, they're not scrolling around looking for another option. They're searching for a breakthrough. So that means you can create the most epic visual ROI, but if you bring people into your world and they don't understand what you do in a way that makes their brain think, oh my gosh, this is it, this is what I've been waiting for, you end up losing them. So most businesses don't even get here because they're too busy fighting for attention. They're tweaking their ads, they're posting more, they're lowering prices, all the side effects of not understanding how to create a market of one where you become the only option. So when you uncover your innovation gap and create your innovation gap methodology, you're able to understand and create a space in the market that no one else can fill. So everything changes. You stop being one of many, you stop chasing out leads and trying to create more marketing, trying to be top of mind. You become the only choice for high intent buyers. And the best part about this is you're able to raise your price 5 to 10 times from what you're doing right now and have clients who are chasing you down and lining up to work with you because they understand that you're the only solution to their problem. Now, once you have that, the next piece is turning your method into a bingeable decision system. This is where visual ROI really comes to life. So I want you to think about how Netflix keeps you glued to the screen for hours, not because you planned it, but because the story pulls you in one episode at a time. Now imagine that your buyers have that same experience, but they do so with you inside of your sales experience. Instead of slogging through endless marketing touch points, they're binging through a decision journey that feels natural, exciting, and inevitable. So by the time they finish, they're not just thinking about it, they're obsessed. They've already sold themselves. This is what I call the bingeable decision system, and it works because it mirrors the exact way that humans naturally make decisions. So every step pulls them closer until yes is the only outcome that makes sense. There's no chasing, no drawn out months of let me get back to you, just a simple system that gets your buyers to binge their way to a yes. Now, once you have that, the third and final piece is delivering on the promise, right? Because most people miss this step because they are so busy trying to create demand. But once you've created demand, you actually have to deliver on that demand because a business isn't built on marketing alone. It's built on clients who feel so taken care of, so blown away by the results that they become your raving fan and your best sales team. That's why we built the Happy Client Machine, a system that delivers world-class results at scale without everything falling back on you. So you can have clients who sing your praises while you actually enjoy your life. This is the power behind the easiest method. It's about building a business where your systems, your strategy, and your innovation combine to make you the most talked about and sought out expert in your industry. So if you're an action taker and you know that you are ready to see what it actually takes to create a process that gets your leads to sell themselves, so you have clients coming in, you've created demand, you have a legacy business, I want to invite you to the next step of booking a growth optimization call. Now, whether you are at the growth stages of business of just needing to create a process that actually creates and converts demand, or you're at scaling where you're ready to take this to the moon, I would love to book a call with you to talk about what this actually looks like. Our growth optimization call, we'll sit down, we'll look at your client acquisition approach, we'll pinpoint where the gaps are and where your innovation opportunities are and how you can position your work so that clients are actually chasing you down instead of the other way around. So head on over to ecsleads.com/call to apply. And if you're new here or you just want to go a little bit deeper and check out what it actually means to create a system that gets your leads to sell themselves using the Netflix effect, I want to invite you to check out our on-demand series where I walk you through the 3 steps that turn your method into a movement and your marketing into a self-selling system. So head on over to thenetflixeffect.com to check it out now. Now, my goal is that you walk away from this episode thinking differently about what it actually takes to be able to communicate the true ROI that you create for your clients and be able to apply what I call visual ROI. So if you found this episode valuable, if you could just take 60 seconds to rate, review, and share this episode with a friend, it means the world and it helps us get this message to more hands and more experts who are ready to change the world. So until next time, here's to keeping it real.